Welcome back, degenerates, to Place Your Bets. I'm Tyler James, getting ready to hibernate before another late kickoff in Louisville. He's the one and only Eric Hansen. Together we cover Notre Dame football, recruiting, and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network. And we like to make prop bets about Notre Dame football. Last week apparently was too easy for BMM 2834. They nailed all 5 of our Notre Dame Duke prop bets. Even the under on the completion percentage for Riley Leonard that Eric scoffed at last week. Scott Claracy jumped back into first place by himself with 4 correct last week and has 19 through 6 games. Eric and I remain tied at 16 each after we both got 3 last week. As a reminder, if you're an InsideNDSports.com subscriber, make sure you submit your predictions to the Google form link on the Insider Lounge. Now let's make our predictions with this week's prop bets for Notre Dame Louisville. First one I have for us, Eric, is over under 5.5 tackles for Notre Dame defensive tackle Howard Cross III.
Well, I want to preface this by saying last week I was going to do an experiment where I flipped the coin to see if I would get more with the coin or with my noggin. And I have misplaced the coin flip picks. So I don't know whether that, so I'm not even going to do that. I got enough right last week to redeem myself.
I forgot to check on that, so I guess it's good that we both we really stick to our bits here on Place Your Bets. Huh?
So Howard Cross is the leading tackler in all of FBS football among defensive linemen, and he has 35. Now, he had 13 last week against Duke, and he's been over 5.5 a couple times. It's tricky with interior defensive linemen because they can have an outstanding game, but depending on how the offensive line wants to game plan and the offensive coordinator wants to, they can suppress your tackles and still you contribute a lot. I just have a feeling he's on a tear. If that guy can get 13 tackles against Duke with a sinus infection, he ought to be able to get 6 against Louisville with clear sinuses.
Yeah, I think common sense says to take the under, but Howard Cross is sort of going against common sense these days. He's sort of playing out of his mind and causing havoc and making tackles. Like you said, you can still be a wrecking ball as a defensive lineman and not rack up tackles the way Howard Cross is right now. So I'm going to bet on Howard Cross to reach 6 tackles this game, so I'll take the over as well. All right, next one. More receptions for Notre Dame, wide receiver Jayden Thomas or wide receiver Jaden Greathouse?
Well, in the season, they're pretty close. They've been Notre Dame's 2 most productive wide receivers. In this game in particular, with Louisville's pass rush, I'm going to go with Thomas just because I think there's a little bit more of a security blanket effect there with Thomas than Greathouse, even though Greathouse is doing a great job. But JT is my pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Thomas as well. I think it's interesting when you look at the stats. Thomas generally has more catches, but he's gone without a catch at times too. Whereas Jaden Greathouse seems to be more consistent, just a couple of catches per game. And so I'm leaning towards Jayden Thomas getting back to where we thought he would be in terms of being the leading receiver in Notre Dame's offense and being a guy that's important for this offense. I do think Jaden Greathouse will play an important role as well, but I do think Thomas will end up with more receptions. All right, next one. Over under 60.5 rushing yards for Louisville running back Jawhar Jordan.
He's been over 60.5 against everybody, and markedly so, except for NC State last week. NC State had a really good game plan defensively, and Louisville really couldn't do anything. 20 yards net rushing on 29 carries as a team. But I don't know that Notre Dame is going to skew its defense like that. And with Louisville being fairly balanced, playing at home, and with all the weapons they have, I think it's going to open up the run a little bit. I mean, he can hit a home run, and that will jack up his stats. So I'm going to go over with him.
Yeah, and that's what happened for Travion Henderson of Ohio State against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's only given up only allowed a leading rusher for the opposing team to rush for more than 60 yards twice this season. And it's happened in the last 2 games with Travion Henderson and Riley Leonard from Duke. Because of that, I'm leaning towards Jordan being able to break one or being a significant enough a part of the offense to get over that 60.5 mark. So I'm going over. I believe he's averaging 102 yards per game this season. I don't think he's going to get up that high, but I do think he will be able to get into the 60s or 70s for Louisville on Saturday.
Until the NC State game, he led the nation in yards per carry. He's not there now, but I think he's in the top 5 still.
Yeah, he's still pretty high. That tells you how good he was doing because he's still pretty high up after a pretty bad performance against NC State. All right, next one. More offensive touches for Notre Dame. Running back Gi'Bran Payne or running back Jadarian Price?
Someone in the chat yesterday was concerned about Price, and I think his not overuse is – I think they're measuring him and monitoring that comeback from an Achilles tendon rupture, even though he's been declared 100%. I think they're just trying not to wear him out during the season as he puts more mileage back on that leg. And Gi'Bran Payne has been so instrumental in 3rd and 4th downs, and both those guys are pretty good pass pro, but I think Gi'Bran Payne is the best. So I'm going to say because he's in there for pass pro, he'll get more touches as well. So Payne for me on this one.
All right, we're on the same page for all these so far. Payne has a more like specific role in the offense that I think is like specific to him, whereas Jadarian Price, I feel like it seems like Jeremiah Love's sort of taking some of the roles that we thought Jadarian Price would have, and I don't think anyone wants to make the argument that Jeremiah Love should play less. So I'd like to see Price get some more touches. But my sense is that Gi'Bran Payne will end up getting more offensive touches for the Irish on Saturday. All right, next up, over under 1.5 interceptions thrown by Louisville quarterback Jack Plummer.
So he's got a really high pass efficiency rating, which is amazing considering how many interceptions he's thrown, because that really works against you in that formula. Mm-hmm. He's got 6. The most in the country is 7. And yet Notre Dame isn't a big turn you over team. They won the turnover battle at Duke 2-0. I'm going to go under. I think their pass defense will do well against Plummer. I just don't think they're going to force more than 1 interception.
Well, Eric, let's go opposites on this one. I think that Jack Plummer is due for some interceptions against Notre Dame. He didn't throw any against the Irish in his previous 2 games with Purdue and Cal, even though he didn't necessarily perform well in those games. And Jack Plummer has thrown 2 interceptions twice this season, once against Murray State and then last week against NC State. He's been able to keep that high passing efficiency ranking, I think, because of his long yards per attempt and yards per completion rate. But he does have those 6 interceptions on the season. So I think Notre Dame's going to be able to force him into some mistakes, get him into some 3rd downs, and then some dangerous throws. So Notre Dame's going to get at least 2 interceptions against Plummer on Saturday.
Somehow I knew you were going to say that.
All right, our last one for fun. Will Papa John's be served in the Louisville press box?
Well, for Notre Dame fans, it is served in every game after the game in the Notre Dame press box. I have not had any Papa John's this year so far. I will say no. I think the whole removal of the name of Papa John's from the stadium and that was a punitive action. So I'm not sure that serving Papa John's pizza in the press box would be sending mixed messages. And I think for the good of the sports writers, they should bring Barnaby's from South Bend and serve that.
Yeah, maybe they'll have upgraded the pizza. I don't remember what we got there last time.
I don't remember either. I just remember Carter being late in the morning and eating gas station pizza in Columbus, Indiana on the way back.
That's
and
what
bad gas station pizza.
The only pizza I remember from our last trip to Louisville was that gas station pizza that Carter Carls, our former colleague, was eating on the way home. I guess that was like a Tuesday morning, right? Because I think that game was played on a Monday. But anyways, So, yeah, I think they will not have Papa John's pizza, but hopefully we get a good food choice there in the Louisville press box. Duke did a pretty good job with their food. They definitely outkicked their coverage when it came to the food. All right, our final score predictions for Notre Dame Louisville. What do you got, Eric?
I'm going to say Notre Dame has been really good at holding down the score. Louisville is the best pass offense, pass efficiency, scoring offense, total offense Notre Dame has played this year. And yes, USC is better in all those categories, so we'll be saying that next week as well. But I'm going to go with my prediction that I used for Duke that was wrong last week, and I'll say Notre Dame 30 and Louisville 21.
All right. I think that Notre Dame's offense will be able to get back on track against this Louisville defense. Getting Jaden Thomas and Jaden Greathouse will certainly be important for the Irish and having more balance in terms of its passing game. So I'm going with Notre Dame 34, Louisville 24. I do think Louisville is going to be able to put up some points, but anticipation Notre Dame forging some turnovers and maybe even building up a bigger lead and Louisville coming back towards the end to get it that close. But I think it's time for Notre Dame to stop giving all of its fans heart attacks at the end of games. And so maybe we'll get that this Saturday down in Louisville.
I am surprised we didn't have a Sam Hartman question here, considering his game at Louisville last year. For people that don't know, Wake Forest came into that game ranked 10th in the country, left 48-21 loss. They had 8 turnovers, and Sam had 6 of them. 3 interceptions and 3 lost fumbles. Probably his worst game as a college football player.
Yeah, we're taking on the Jared Parker motto of let's not bring up ghosts when we don't need to. So,
okay.
NC State, Sam Hartman was able to come through against NC State when he had in the past, and he did not like when I asked him about the struggles that he had in the past against NC State. And so we'll see if he can overcome what he did against Louisville last year. Certainly a game that he would like to have back, and will have a chance to redeem himself on Saturday with the Irish. All right, that'll do it for Place Your Bets. If you're an InsideNDSports.com subscriber, don't forget to submit your predictions through the link on the Insider Lounge. If you're not a subscriber to the site, we encourage you to take advantage of our 30-day free trial of premium access to InsideNDSports.com with the code NDYT. We've included a link in the video description below to help you sign up. And for all of you, make sure you hit the like button, share with us your predictions for the game in the comments, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. We will be back early Sunday morning after the game for our post-game takeaways, and may the odds be ever in your favor.